All right, Max, do an intro.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tin and Max. Yes, we still post on this channel. We took a week off for Christmas, and we hope that you all had happy holidays as we did as well. I mean, Justin loved it so much that he just can't stop dancing. He just can't
Can't
stop
having a good time.
dancing.
Can't
Yeah,
stop,
good
won't
times.
stop.
Good times. But this video is all about the movie that came out that has captured America's heart, but really the trailer captured America's heart, and that is Spider-Man No Way Home. We're going to do a spoiler-free review for the first little bit, and then we will warn,
Heavy warning.
heavy warning when we start talking about spoilers. So, Justin, tell us, what were your thoughts about Spider-Man No Way Home? Spoiler-free.
Spoiler-free. It's good. It's really good. Obviously.
You should have just left it there.
Yeah,
we should
no,
just
that's it.
end the video there.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. That's like if I was watching a video, that'd be like because some people can kind of like bounce around their actual thoughts about it, but it's good. I liked it overall. It's a very good movie. I can't really talk about my issues with it in non-spoilers. Can't get into that. Can't get into why either. But overall, a very good movie. The action was great. The story was really good. Tom Holland's still fantastic as Spider-Man. I think he's still the Spider-Man that encapsulates both Peter Parker and Spider-Man really well. And yeah, what did you think?
I would agree. I agree. I think it was. I don't know. I think it was better than good. I heavily enjoyed it, so much so that like I am going to go back to the theater and watch it again. It's one of those movies where it's I think worth watching it in theater for sure.
Oh yeah.
There's some movies where it's like, oh, they're good. You can wait till they come out. And
I'm glad I saw this in theaters, and that's coming from I hate going to the theater because people ruin it every time. No one ruined it this time. I definitely had because I went like the day the movie came out, and I had one of those cheering crowds, so that was exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, so no, I thought it was really great. There were really cool details that were actually in the movie. Tom Holland at one point is wearing a shirt that says "I survived New York," and that's actually a shirt that he got from Spider-Man Homecoming when he has to give up the suit to Iron Man. I thought it was just a really good callback, obviously to the trilogy, and just again pointing back to, I mean, everything that we've gone through so far. The villains all were a lot of fun. The ones that
anything that's in the trailers is fair game for like spoilers. All right, so yeah, that's not included in our non-spoiler section.
Yeah, I mean, it's if they put it in the trailer, I feel like it's okay to talk about.
It's been out there for months. Like everybody already knows Doc Ock and Green Goblin and Jamie Foxx, they're all back. And
yeah.
So what did you think of those three?
Yeah, no, I thought they were really great. I thought overall, I mean, the performances by all three of them were really good. I won't go into the details of what they do or what happens or anything like that.
They really slipped back into those roles fantastically. Like they never left.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't been 20 years for some of them.
Well, in a weird way, they slipped back into the role, but also was okay in modern time, if that makes sense. Like they slipped back into what they were in their old movies. Because I mean, some of these movies are really old for Spider-Man.
And like the Raimi movies were very campy in a lot of ways. And even those villains, they still feel like a threat, and like they feel like they fit in with like the more grounded, realistic, MCU Spider-Man and the universe. I was just really happy to see Doc Ock again because, fun fact, he's my favorite Spider-Man villain, and it's because of Spider-Man 2. And like, it's very hard. I don't know. I don't think I'd put the action of this movie above the fight scenes in Spider-Man 2. I feel like this fight scenes in Spider-Man 2 had a very like I don't know, weight. They had a weight to them that the ones in this one didn't. Because like, fun fact for you who don't know, Spider-Man 2, they had real like arms for Doc Ock on set that were like puppeted and everything. Like they didn't have the CGI they have now. And the fight scenes in Spider-Man 2 are fantastic. And that's part of the reason I love Doc Ock. And Alfred Molina, is that how you say his name?
Yes.
He's great. I don't know. I loved seeing him again. His reveal was really great. That was in the trailers. But that and the whole bridge fight, that was pretty sick. Not as good as Spider-Man 2, but still.
I thought it was better, but I'm a sucker for this polished CGI that we're now used to.
I'm
Don't get me
kind of
wrong.
interested.
I love old Spider-Man 2, Tobey Maguire's face, holding back that train. I really do love it. But
Good
I
old
think
Constipation Parker.
the fight scenes in this one I thought were really good. No, overall, I think the movie was a slam dunk. And I think if you haven't seen it, you really do need to go watch it right away. But yeah. Okay. Can we get into the
Yeah, I'm having a hard
spoilers?
time not talking about
Me
spoilers. So
too.
we're
Me too.
doing
Okay.
we're doing spoilers now. You've been warned.
If you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home and you do not want the movie to be ruined for you, shut off the video. But then come back after you watch the movie.
Like it and then turn off the video. And subscribe and then turn off the video.
Wow. Yeah, shameless plug. And then come back so
YouTube,
that you
what do you
can
expect?
watch the remaining review. But yes, okay. Now spoilers are in play. What did you think of Spider-Man No Way Home?
Let me say, follow up to my previous about the action. The final fight. Okay, let's just put it out there. Andrew and Toby are in this. That's not a surprise. Nobody's surprised. It's still technically a spoiler. They're in this. Nobody's surprised. That final fight was all three of them. I think suffered from too much CGI and like I hate that they set that scene at night because it sometimes felt like it was so hard to follow along with what's actually happening in that scene. It would have been better during the day, brightly lit. You can actually see what's, especially when you have like three Spider-Man with costumes that are very similar because they're Spider-Man. But small complaint, his brawl with Goblin after the reveal that he's like still evil, that was a brutal fight. Like they're throwing each other through the floor and through walls and like they're using like wrestling moves to slam each other into the ground. That was awesome.
Another fun fact, William Dafoe would not come back to this movie unless he was able to do his own stunts. So that was all
That's awesome.
Which
and Tobey Maguire does a lot of his own stunts too.
Yep.
Because I didn't learn this until recently, or maybe I did learn it and I forgot it until now. But Tom Holland was actually like a gymnast, professional gymnast before this role.
Yes,
so that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I really like that action scene with Goblin right after reveal. And let's back up. Let's go in chronological order. Daredevil's in this. What do you think of that?
I loved it. I have actually watched Daredevil on Netflix. It's the only Marvel superhero TV show on Netflix that I watched. I didn't watch like even like Defenders or like any. I didn't really watch any of the other ones besides Daredevil, and I really do enjoy Daredevil. I think Charlie Cox does a fantastic job playing him, and the fact that he's in now the MCU is really exciting for me because not only is he a really good actor playing Daredevil, which is awesome, but it shows how he's going to work. Just that little scene, it was a tiny
catching the brick
scene, but
I told you I'm a really good lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, he just it just showed why he deserves to be in the MCU.
Yeah.
And so I'm super excited about it. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm really excited. They were denying it pretty hard. A lot of people thought he would show up at that scene where like you see Peter in the at the police station, like he was gonna slam some books down and be like, I'm your lawyer, Daredevil. That's how he would introduce himself, obviously.
Yeah.
I like the kind of misdirect from the trailers and then like actually having him in a completely different scene than what you would probably expect.
Totally.
Like back at the apartment talking about it. And I don't know. For Sony, who are notorious for spoiling things, that was a good move. I don't know if it was intentional, but that was like what I got from it, and I really liked that. And I've actually been rewatching Daredevil because of seeing Charlie Cox, and I don't think I ever actually got past season 1.
Oh wow!
Because I'm on season 2 and I don't remember any of it. So I know I didn't watch season 3. I was done with the Netflix stuff by season 3 Daredevil.
Yeah, I think you'll really like it. Yeah, no, I think it's fun, and I actually myself I'm thinking about picking it back up and watching it too. So that just shows how great he is again. So yeah, no, I really loved that. I loved the relationship of Happy and Aunt May. I actually loved Aunt May and how she was really the focus into Tom Holland, helping out Peter Parker, but helping out. I'm saying Tom Holland because there's 3 Peter Parkers in the movie, so
we're just gonna call him by
so we're gonna go by that. But I love that she was really the main influence into him like wanting to help the heroes. And it was really cool because
the villains.
Sorry,
the villains.
Villains. I meant the villains. That's right. I meant the villains. But because Aunt May does die in it puts so much more weight to with great power comes great responsibility.
I think.
Sorry, go ahead. And I was just gonna say I love that.
Okay, yeah. I think they did a fantastic thing where they gave Aunt May the Uncle Ben role 3 movies in, like we don't at this point know what happened to MCU Uncle Ben. Literally the only time he's been mentioned by name was in an episode of What If, and those are all different universes anyway, so who knows if they actually count. But I think by giving Aunt May that role, I don't know, it was just an interesting it's an interesting way to flip the comic on its head, like the origin, her giving him the great responsibility. And like he could also have learned it from Uncle Ben. Like I said, we have no idea anything about, like, Uncle Ben could have died when Peter was a kid, and it could have just been Aunt May and Peter for all those years, and maybe that's why he doesn't have that same attachment to like Ben that we've seen before. And like I think at this point it doesn't really matter because Aunt May is that it's that folk, like her death and her telling him the great responsibility thing and having him help those heroes, which is a very Spider-Man thing to do. That's one of the most Spider-Man things we've seen Tom Holland do, is like go out of his way that hard to help his villains, because like that's who he is. He's a good person.
Yep.
Like, I mean, even in Homecoming, he saves Vulture from blowing up.
Yep.
He's always been that kind of person, but this is just further proof that like even after Goblin, because Green Goblin, he's the one who kills Aunt May. He still, after that, obviously Toby had to stop it, but he still after that cures him.
Well, actually, to show that, like, just to point out, because you talked about that action shot and you're referencing to it now, that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. Is you see someone who does always help everyone and does have always that personality, is just a nice guy, who is straight up like beating up Green Goblin. Like, it is not
brutal.
It was brutal in the sense I was like, oh, like, because it just keeps going. And I think that was another thing that this movie did really well. There were parts in the movie that most movies stop. So for example, there was a moment where you have all 3 Spider-Man that are talking about just random Spider-Man stuff. Where does
talking about the organic web shooters?
Yeah, web. Where does his web come from, and does he shoot it out of anywhere else other than his wrist? Like, that little part was so funny, and they let it be prolonged, which was so awesome, because usually most things it'd be like a funny quick joke, okay, cut, you know what I mean, versus they actually let it be a conversation. It actually felt like it was real. It was really cool. It built chemistry between the 3 Spider-Men, and like they just met, and that was really fun. And that was another scene that I really liked, was when he's beating up Green Goblin. They didn't just stop it at like hit him down to the ground, he's like down there, and then he picks up something, you know what I mean? It was beat, and then all of a sudden he picks something up, looks like he's about to kill him, and Tobey Maguire has to step in, which was such a cool scene. And I loved it so much.
Toby doesn't even have to say anything.
Yeah,
like he just like they just stare at each other, and like he realizes, like it's so good.
Yeah,
like I feel like the emotional beats of this movie were done really well. I like going back to Aunt May's death, like they kind of toy with your expectations a little bit. Like she gets hit and you're like, oh god, did they just kill Aunt May? And then like, oh no, she's fine, they're leaving, and then they kind of pull the rug out from you again, and she's like falling, and like his just like, oh, open your eyes. Like the whole scene was like done fantastically. So and like it had me guessing, because I'm like, they wouldn't kill Aunt May. They did.
Too. Yeah.
Spider-Man PS4 did it first, but still.
Really good. Well, and then another really emotional scene that I want to make sure to talk about is when, so there's they actually like reference earlier that Andrew's MJ, he lost his MJ, right? They have that quote, and then MJ's falling. Tom Holland reaches down to try to save her, gets hit. And so then Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man has to like do the same type of like rescuing MJ as tried for Gwen Stacy. In
He got
Amazing
his redemption
22.
moment.
Yeah, and
A
he
lot of
gets his redemption
people
moment.
from the trailers kind of picked up that would happen,
Yeah,
and it did, and it was great. Like, and Andrew Garfield honestly steals the show a lot for me in this movie. He
100%.
was almost my favorite
Oh,
in the whole
he
movie.
was my
He's so
favorite. He
good,
was my favorite.
and
That's it.
I want another Amazing Spider-Man movie. They sold me on it. I know the first two are either you like them or you don't. I want another one. That was so good.
There's
And
a lot
the
of
way
rumors
he
right now.
sells that,
A
the
lot of rumors.
emotion in that scene, and like Zendaya asks him, like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah," because like that moment meant so much to him. And Andrew
Well,
sells it with mostly just like his face. Like he doesn't say a lot in that scene.
and even for the fans, it meant so much. You know what I mean? Like for us, we're like, dude, he got it. He did it. And especially because he was talking about how after he failed Save Gwen Stacy, he got dark, which that's what I want to see. I want to see
Literally
dark
says he
Peter
stopped pulling
Parker.
his punches, and I want to know to like what extent.
Yeah, yeah,
Because like
yeah.
obviously he can't have gone too full dark side because he's still helping save the villains, right? Like he's
Right.
because like they save who did they save? They save Doc Ock, and then the other villains escape. So the final fight is them kind of curing all the other ones while dealing with them all and whatever. And like he's still helping them do that. So obviously he couldn't have gone too, and like he's still a funny guy. Like his whole first interaction with MJ and Ned was so when he gets on the like he sticks to the ceiling, she's like crawl around. He's like, really? I'm
This isn't
sticking to
enough
this.
for you.
This isn't enough. He was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll admit, I've never been the biggest Tobey Maguire Spider-Man Peter Parker fan. I like those movies. I don't necessarily like him in the role. I know that's probably controversial, but whatever. I did like him in this though.
Yeah.
I think he sells like the older, wiser, like I've been doing this for 20 years now, Peter.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the father figure of the four almost, and the youth pastor crack. So
that wasn't one of my favorites. Is so yeah, when he's wearing these clothes, and I'm not gonna lie, the clothes he was wearing is the exact clothes that like I would wear. And fun behind the scenes is I worked as a youth pastor for like 5 years, and when they made that joke, that was so funny to me because I'm like, that is exactly like clothes like I own. Like it was great. It was great. So
Toby
no, I
definitely
think
like
really good.
because like unlike because I feel like Andrew, part of the reason he comes in with so much energy in this movie is because I feel like he feels like he has something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Amazing Spider-Man movies are like the redheaded stepchildren of the Spider-Man franchise. You know, like everybody loves the Raimi movies. Most people like the Tom Holland movies.
Yeah.
And then there was Andrew Garfield, where nobody didn't necessarily like Andrew Garfield. It was the movies. I mean, some people say he's too cool to be Peter Parker. I say make him college age Peter Parker and you're set. You're done. Perfect.
Yeah. No, seriously, I think, I mean, again, I think that he was fantastic. I really do think all the characters were really good. The one character that I actually didn't like as much was Doctor Strange. I didn't really understand his I mean, like obviously his role was, like getting, like casting the spell that started all this, right? But my problem with it is why would he even consider to cast the spell? And I understand that they joked about how they use it for like small things, right? But at the same time, he's using it, for like this is, I mean, it's big. Like he's using it for the entire world to forget that Tom Holland is Peter Parker. And that just that didn't sit right with me, to be honest, because I feel like it's an easier spell to be able to say, oh, we all forgot about what happened. Like 5 people forgot about what happened to that party. But it's another thing to say the entire world is forgetting one person. That's a big spell to cast. You know what I mean? And
universe
then
even because like
yeah,
gonna get like the Guardians that saw his face and whatever, they're gonna forget too.
Right. No, exactly. And so that's where it's just that didn't really make a lot of sense to me. Also didn't really make a lot of sense that Wong would let him, especially since he is now like in charge, right? Because he's now
Sorcerer Supreme by technicality,
which is hilarious.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the one. And like even like the fight scene between Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, I thought could have been a lot better.
I thought it was typical Doctor Strange weird dimension. I get what you're saying. It was pretty kind of generic.
Yes.
I like that Peter stops him using math. Like they really did a good job of showing you how intelligent Peter is. And not all of the movies can really sell that. Like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man never hit me as all that smart, because maybe it's because of the really dumb things he does in the movie, like kiss Gwen Stacy on stage in front of Mary Jane. That's a dumb thing to do.
That was
not something an intelligent person would do. Whatever. I'm off track. Like they're all very smart in this, and like they have the lab scene together, and like stuff like that, where like Tom Holland's like, oh, this is all math. I can use this, and he uses that stuff. I thought that was so cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. The second, my son's yelling. The second post-credit scene was straight up just a trailer for Multiverse of Madness, which Marvel hasn't actually done that since, I think, Captain America 1, where they had a trailer for the Avengers. I think it's the last time that happened in the MCU.
Nope.
But I wonder how much of what we see from Doctor Strange in this movie will carry over into Multiverse of Madness, you know?
Yeah.
Because like in that trailer, he directly mentions like, this is kind of my fault in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be really interesting. Also, evil Doctor Strange is in it.
Yes.
So that'll be cool.
Yes. It'll be cool. I'm not gonna lie. The trailer obviously didn't show us a lot. I think they're hiding a lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's gonna be another movie where like, who knows what kind of, like, we could get Hugh Jackman Wolverine in that movie.
Dude, that would be
like
awesome.
That movie's not gonna be limited by Spider-Man, you know? Like it's not, it doesn't have to just be Spider-Man from across the multiverse. It can be, we could get some of the old X-Men. We could even get the old Fantastic Fox. I think it'd be Fantastic Four. I think it would be hilarious if we got Chris Evans, Human Torch, and like even just like a brief cameo. I don't know if he would do it, but
dude, that would be funny. And not Captain America, but
Human Torch.
That would be funny. That would be so funny.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I don't know if they do that. So cool. I think there's a very good chance we get Tobey Maguire, because the director of Multiverse of Madness is a director. It's Sam Raimi. He did the Raimi movies, obviously. Yeah. So I think there's a very good chance we get Tobey Maguire back in that. It's totally possible. Yeah, I don't know. To me, the Doctor Strange stuff didn't really bother me, because I feel like people expect a lot from this Doctor Strange, but like he's still pretty early in his career in a lot of ways. Because like by the time Doctor Strange happens, it's only like 3 years later that Infinity War happens. Like hasn't been Doctor Strange that long. And like considering how kind of like reckless his personality was before Doctor Strange, I don't think it's too far-fetched that would still, like, I think this is let me put it this way. I think this is a Doctor Strange that still has a lot of growing to do. You know what I mean? And like Doctor Strange in the comics, he's all about the multiverse. He knows all about the multiverse. And this one, he's not there yet. I think Multiverse of Madness will see the character grow a lot. And I totally get where you're coming from, but I think that, and his role in this movie is mostly to just be a catalyst.
Totally.
They just needed a reason, like, how do we bring in the other Spider-Man? How do we solve the ending from, Far From Home? And like, I don't know. That's my thoughts on those.
Like my only rebuttal to that is the Doctor Strange that's in Infinity War seems like a very black and white. This is how we're gonna do things. I live by this kind of code. This is how I am. Like I'm not gonna bend the rules for anyone or anything. Like
that's just a problem you run into with like characters, and like especially in the comics where you have characters that have existed for so long and like different writers writing for the character at all times.
But that's been something the MCU has been really known for, right? Is being able to go with this character growth and getting the arcs. Like that's been the big thing, is that you get arcs, right? And what I'm saying is I feel like Doctor Strange's arc now doesn't make sense, if that and so that's going to be really important for this next movie.
I mean, because if they've done that before though, like the ending of Iron Man 3 doesn't exactly line up with the beginning of Age of Ultron. Like he destroys all his suits, and then at the beginning of Age of Ultron, he's got a suit again, and then he's built like his little iron soldiers to like keep people out of like whatever, peacekeeping robots, whatever you want to call them. Like I know what you're saying. The MCU is better about that than a lot of things, but they're not above it. Like they will backslide characters sometimes and like I said, like he's mostly just there to serve the story.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. What did you think? Now that we can talk about spoilers, like, what do you think of the inclusion of the villains and the fact that like they're curing them? Like,
I actually loved that. Now the thing that it made me want is to see more of the villains, actually, to see like what happens after now that they're cured, like do they go back and to
I
the
want to
world?
talk
Like,
about that, but we don't have to do it now.
yeah, but like what like what happens with that? And so um I do really like I did really like it a lot. Um I thought the
Obviously,
tree,
some villains had more to do than others. The tree, oh man,
yeah, that was the best villain
tree.
by far.
I'm not even gonna spoil that, but that was the
Best
darkest part
villain
of the
by far.
movie. That was the darkest part.
But no, I thought they did really good. I love that all the actors came back. I mean, that was what was so great, honestly, about this movie is they got every single actor back. They got every
I'm
single.
tired. I like obviously they got at least the voices back. I'm not convinced they got Sandman and Lizard. I've
They
heard some
totally did.
people I've heard some people say that those very brief parts where you see them in human form, that's like CGI made from like past footage. Like they weren't actually on set,
Yeah, why would
which
the
makes
actors
sense
allow that?
because they get money for less work.
I
You just
don't
have to
know.
voice like I don't know because like Sandman being
The
made
voice
of
of
sand the whole time, he's never done that.
the
Like in Spider-Man 3, he is in his human form all the time.
the voice of Sandman though is pretty iconic.
No. Like I'm saying they got the actors to do the voices. They just didn't get them on set ever
And
because they didn't really need to. They could just be like, oh, we can just do like a quick digital person for the 2 seconds that they're human again. And then, they don't have to come in. Maybe they couldn't come in.
well, either
Maybe it
way,
was
I
just
appreciate that it was them. I
yeah, it
appreciate they
was
didn't
still
get someone
them
else.
for the
Yeah.
record. Like I checked, like every actor returned as they were. Like it is the Sandman guy. It is Blizzard. It's the voices. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but the one that I actually, not like the tree was a joke, but the very best villain was by far Green Goblin. It was,
He steals the show.
I mean, he was the best, but he was also pretty much the main villain too. Like, what I mean, he's the one who kills Aunt May. He's the
That
one.
scene when they're all in the apartment and like Peter knows something is wrong, like his spider sense is going off, like off the charts. That is such a that is like maybe the best example of spider sense done in live action.
Yes,
Like it is
the Peter
like
Tinker.
that whole like the whole like the tension in that scene
Mm-hmm.
and like kind of like the suspense because like you're in a room full of villains.
Yeah,
You don't know. I feel like at least from my perspective, it was pretty obvious it was Goblin because the whole split personality thing. But
yeah,
like you don't know who it could be. They're
right.
literally all bad guys.
Oh, totally.
So
No,
it's
well,
such a well
especially with
shot scene.
Electro, that whole time, like they keep showing him considering like taking off the thing that's healing him, like, and so I actually thought it was going to be him. I thought it was going to be Electro for sure.
Well, doesn't
I
he
was like,
start
oh,
looking at it after Goblin starts doing his speech
mhm.
about why would we want to get rid of our powers?
Yeah, yeah. And he was like, and he like starts looking at it, and it's like, because for Electro, like he now in this movie is better looking.
He's not blue.
He's
That's
not
never
blue.
explained why, but just go with it. It's
Never
Jamie
explained
Foxx.
why, but honestly,
I
they
don't think
made
it
him
needs
so
to
much
be.
better. I
It
mean,
doesn't need to
and
be.
Jamie Foxx did a great job in this movie.
He was
It
so
was
funny.
so,
He had some
yeah,
of the funniest moments.
it was so much better. It was
And he's like
seriously, it was so much
legitimately a
better.
threat. Like Electro is a very like if you think about it, he's a very threatening villain.
Oh yeah,
And like I don't think you get it. You get some of that with like the Central Park or not Central Park, the Times Square scene in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
yeah,
He does destroy like Times Square basically.
yeah.
But in this one, like his power and like his lightning's yellow again, which is always fun.
Mhm.
He was really great. The
Yeah,
scene where he thought Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was going to be black was obviously it was so they could reference Miles Morales, but I thought that was such a funny interaction. I love that Andrew Garfield like apologized.
yeah, yeah.
It was so good.
I will say that was one thing that was, I really hoped for this movie. I was really hoping somehow, some way they were going to introduce Miles Morales because they were getting old Spider-Man, and I was hoping that there was going to, but it wouldn't have been Peter Parker. So
They already stretched like the logic for the who could be in the movie. That's one of I think
you should talk about that.
one of my biggest problems with this movie is it doesn't really seem to follow its own rules in a lot of instances. Like maybe this is just like me not paying attention, although I definitely was paying attention. But like when are the villains, when they go back to their universe, where do they show up? Are they put it right back where they left? Because most of them will still die immediately. Electro was talking Doc Ock's the one I think won't die, and I'll get into that in a second. Electro was literally like, when he's talking about what happened before he arrived there, he's literally talking about how like he was dissolving into electricity, basically. Like that's what he's talking about was happening to him right before he left. I don't think we really get from William Dafoe when he left, but if he left right before the glider, he's gonna get stabbed regardless. Doc Ock, I think, does survive, because if you remember specifically when he's talking about when he showed up, he was fighting Spider-Man. He wasn't at the pulling the sun, because you have to pull him out before he goes good again. Otherwise, it's just good Doc Ock. You don't have that even with Doc Ock.
Doc Ock was pretty much good Doc Ock at the end.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So he's gonna die.
But my point is, like, you had to pull him out of time before Peter turns him good and he sacrifices himself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's still a very good chance he has to die anyway to stop the sun. So again, doesn't really change anything.
Ooh, theory. That's why Doc Ock was good at the end of Spider-Man 2.
Possibly. That's totally possibly.
There's the theory. And the other ones, they died.
Maybe.
Maybe
Norman was good when he got stabbed.
Maybe Norman was good when he got stabbed. Electro dies when.
What if, like, oh my god, how funny would it be if the reason you remember the scene where Green Goblin dies and the glider's coming?
Saves Peter at the end.
Yeah, hey, I guess that does work. Electro's dead.
Yeah,
for sure. But that's even like, if that is true, which is totally possible, I guess.
It's totally possible.
It defeats the whole point of the movie, though. He doesn't save them; they die anyway. The only ones I think he could have actually saved were Sandman and Lizard, who was already saved.
Sandman goes good at the end too. It actually works.
Sandman was never bad. Even in this movie, he's not bad. He just wants to get home to his daughter. So I don't really think they cured Sandman. He doesn't have the Sandman stuff anymore. But actually, that doesn't work, because Sandman floats away in sand at the end of that movie.
But maybe so he dies when he gets back, because he was floating away in sand and probably turns into a human and just falls.
Or he's like that big sand monster, and like he turns back into human and New Goblin throws a bomb at him thinking he's still a big sand monster. Whatever. But like, do you see what I mean though? Like how easy it starts to get to poke holes in this, and like even the logic is inconsistent on why they were brought to the universe. I do kind of have an explanation, but like, is it because they know Peter is Spider-Man, or is it because they died fighting Spider-Man? I think it's both, but the movie doesn't really clarify that, because there's heroes that but like I think it has to be, because then you can explain.
They say it's both. They say in the movie it's both.
Okay.
Yeah, so they say it's everyone's coming in that knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. But then it talks about how these are all villains that died fighting Spider-Man.
Okay, so it can be either one?
No, I think it's both. I think that's why
it has to be either one, because Lizard didn't die fighting Spider-Man. Electro didn't know who Spider-Man was. They even directly reference that in this movie. Those two, they apply to one column, but not the other. You know what I mean?
You're right.
I like, is it both in the sense that it could be either one, or they knew Spider-Man and they died Spider-Man? Because fighting
That's
Spider-Man.
A really good point. I didn't even think about that.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, and then like
that doesn't track.
The first end credit scene pisses me off to no end. Tom Hardy Venom that blows all of it out of whack. That blows the whole thing out of whack. What is he doing there? He doesn't know Peter. He didn't die fighting Peter. He's never seen Peter before in his life. As far as we know, Peter doesn't even exist in his universe. And I know some people are like, well, the Venom symbiote have a hive mind across the multiverse. No, shut up. I will not accept that. I'm not going to accept that. I know the real reason is because Sony wanted to put Tom Hardy in this, because, hey, look, we have a Spider-Man universe too. But stop.
Here's the only thing that could make it work. If it's like future Venom. right? This is Tom Hardy in the future.
That's the other
That we're
thing.
seeing in
Like,
MCU. Does that make sense?
when was Sandman grabbed? And why were like Toby and his, like, I guess I don't know, like,
So like Toby and Andrew
was
Garfield are from
they
way
were
different
pulled out of
times.
like their now, right? See, like, it
Yeah.
would make more sense if, like, by sending them back to the universe, they were sending them back to their universe in real time, you know, like in the Amazing Spider-Man 8 years later, right? That's when Electro and Lizard return, completely cured.
Yeah.
That would make sense, but I don't. That's not what's said.
Yeah. I mean,
So
they might just show
there's
up
not
in
questions
the
that are
now and they're
answered.
okay. You know, like a new birth essentially.
Well, yeah, but they don't say that.
I'm
And also,
just saying. I'm just saying.
I know
Good.
I like this movie. Don't get me wrong, but like, I think it gets away with a lot because of nostalgia and because it's Spider-Man. Like, there's a lot of holes you could poke in this. Like, wouldn't like Green Goblin being cured before the end events of like Spider-Man, wouldn't that change the timeline in a lot of ways for that universe? Like, things will play out completely differently in that timeline because now Osborn's alive. Harry never gets mad at Peter and Spider-Man. Like, that completely changes event in that universe.
And I think that's why we have to say, and they don't say it, but I think that's why we have to say that they go back to the same time. So, like, for example, Tobey Maguire is going back still as his same age into his now. And
Basically
I think Green
2021.
Goblin, Norman has to be going back at the same time. So it's going to be like, wow, how is he alive? How is Doc Ock alive? You know what I
Man,
mean?
it
Like,
sucks that my son also died.
yeah, like, but you get what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
I think
that's
that
what I'm
has
saying,
to
but
be
like,
it.
that's not established.
You're right.
They
But
kind of,
I think that's what we
some of
have
the
to
stuff they should
assume.
explain, they don't. Is I think that's my biggest problem is like,
Yeah.
it's very cool, the whole setup, but like, not enough of it is thoroughly explained in like a satisfying way. Like, if you
Yeah.
start peeling, but like, are we going to think of this movie as good as we think of it now later after like maybe the nostalgia is worn off? Like,
100%.
I mean, I probably, because I
What?
still think it's a good movie. I think the multiverse stuff kind of breaks apart the logic in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
but also it's comic books, so who cares that much? I just
Well,
think
that's
like,
that, and that's what I'm saying. I think you get to a point where it's like, yeah, logically it might not make exact sense, or you might have to answer some questions for them that they didn't answer themselves.
I think they
But
could
like,
easily like, and like, they could, if they do like an Amazing Spider-Man 3 or a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire, they could answer this. They could fix this problem. They could be like, oh, I'm back now, and hey, look, there's Norman and the other two. They're
totally,
alive and fine at the same time as me. But like I said, we don't know that yet. And like, obviously retconning's a thing. They could totally fix it.
yeah.
Yeah,
They won't, but
probably
because they're
not.
gonna want it to continue. But one thing that you didn't touch enough on was the Venom after credit scene and how terrible that was. How dare they leave the symbiote Venom and that's where it comes from? How dare they? I think that is such a
Yeah.
lame. Like, it's like makes it where it's an after credit scene worth like watching because it's gonna change. That was so dumb. That was so dumb. Just make it where it comes on a meteorite again. Like, just
Nah,
do
I
like,
actually hated that.
I mean, but
I
I think
like the
that's better.
classic.
I think that's better than Tom Hardy going back to his universe, but then accidentally leaving a little behind of it.
Well,
Like,
see, I don't hate that because like, it's another thing of the MCU and I guess Sony using what's already there to change other people's origins. You know, like I know people weren't the biggest fan of it, but Spider-Man, his whole origin relies very heavily on Iron Man in the MCU because Iron Man existed and they could tie that in and like do all that. Like, that's not how the comics work, but
right.
that's how the movie worked. And I think like, it's not the best. I agree. I just want black suit Spider-Man so I can get over it.
I understand, but why? Like, this is why do something different. Like,
And I guess
don't
my
let it be. Why would Venom get left behind? Why not? Okay, why isn't Tom Hardy's hand left behind?
well, I
If they're
think
not going to get the full part. Full part. Why isn't the full part of Venom gone?
well, it's like, I think a lot of people compare it to like, if you take off your jacket and like you leave it over there and then you get sent back to your universe, why the
No,
jacket doesn't, because like,
he
it's,
didn't
I don't
take
know.
it off though. He never
A
took
lot
it
of
off.
people, I think the working theory right now, we'll have to see what they do with it. They could never bring this up again for all we know. Marvel's dropped plot points before.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the theory is that it was a new symbiote. Like, you haven't seen Carnage yet, have you?
I haven't, no.
Okay, whatever. Carnage is made by Venom, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So like, the theory is that little black pool of crap, that's a new Venom symbiote, like not the same Venom that's with Tom Hardy. It's basically that Venom's kid, but like completely fresh, which I
So you
think is
think
the only way you have to do it that way, because I don't want Tom Hardy Venom with Spider-Man. I don't want that. I know some people want that. I don't want that. I want Tom
why
Hardy with a better Venom.
why would Venom's kid though stay and not get also?
The theory is because it was born in that universe, so technically it belongs in that universe. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's comic books. It's comic book logic. It's whatever. I don't
Anyways, I
care.
hated that after credit scene,
I did too.
and
Mostly because of it throws everything out of whack.
everything out of whack.
If
But
we can
anyways,
get a solid villain Venom, I want villain Venom. We never got that with Tom Hardy. He was never a bad guy. I want just a really good villain Venom.
mhm.
Just do it.
I just want a good Venom. Is this bad to say? I want a good Eddie Brock. I want a good Venom.
As much as like I don't necessarily like those movies, it's like that version of Venom's like the 90s after he became that anti-hero, and it was very like 90s. That's what that Venom is. So it's still a Venom. It's not like totally out of the realm of the character. It's just a less good version of the character.
Yeah.
I like my Venom to be evil.
You know what would be so cool? You know, it'd be so cool if somehow, some way, and it's not going to happen, but if somehow, some way, they could get like Venom to being one of the Peter Parkers coming back, and somehow either like Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire was the Venom.
It'll be, if they do Venom, I wonder who will be Venom, because we don't have a Eddie Brock. Flash Thompson, he's been Venom in the comics. He was Agent Venom. He comes back from whatever. Doesn't matter. I don't think the guy who plays Flash Thompson in the MCU would make a good Venom.
Nope.
He's very much the comic relief character.
Yes.
I don't know who they'd have to probably introduce a character. I wonder if maybe they would do like maybe Ned as like a Venom. I don't know. It's possible. Ned Leeds is a Hobgoblin at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
But we'll just have to see.
We'll have to see. But overall, I give this movie.
Right, one more thing. Do you think we'll ever get the Osborns in the MCU? Because Norman specifically states that there's no Oscorp and that somebody else is living in his house, and he kind of trails off when he's talking about his son. That doesn't necessarily mean the Osborns don't exist, though.
True.
Because in a lot of instances, Oscorp is a new company started by Norman. So maybe Oscorp just hasn't gone public yet or something. Like it could be explained away. Do you think we'll get, because obviously they've avoided them up till this point because they wanted to do all brand new stuff.
I don't
but
think
we're 4 movies in now, and he's running out of good villains.
No, it's true, but I don't think he will. Because this is the thing, because Tom Holland is part of the entire MCU, you don't have to just do Spider-Man villains.
Yeah, but I would rather they do that.
I would rather they do it too, but I don't think they're going to do Osborns. I don't think they're going to have another Green Goblin because Green Goblin is in the MCU now, technically.
Yeah, but think about like how interesting that could be from a story perspective. Like you have the Green Goblin who killed Aunt May. It's the same person, but not. Like I think that could be an interesting story to tell, and like how that he has to deal with that. They could also do like a bait and switch, like they've done in the comics and some TV shows, where you think the Green Goblin is Norman, but then it's actually Harry. Like they could do something like that, which I wouldn't be against. I think it's possible. I don't know if they'll do it.
I'm not for it. I would actually rather they don't do it, to be honest.
I want Doc Ock. I want Doc Ock.
I can understand that, but I would want it to be the exact same actor. And so if they're going to do the exact same actor, that would mean that
I don't know. I trust MCU's casting, so I think they'd find a good, like the villains so far, even just in the MCU Spider-Man movies, have been so well cast. Like the Vulture is not a villain you really take seriously, but Michael Keaton was awesome.
He was,
and like
awesome.
Jake Gyllenhaal was a great Mysterio. Like he fit that role perfectly, and I don't know.
Well, here's another question for you. This is another question. Do we think that Tom Holland is actually going to get another solo Spider-Man movie?
Probably. I know he's like talking about quitting and when he wants to start a family, but that doesn't mean anything. Like you can't trust actors. Both Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield have been lying about not being in that movie for over a year.
Well, no, Tom Holland. Which Andrew Garfield really well, by the way. He did a very good job.
I hope he keeps doing it. I hope he forever denies that he's in that movie.
Dude, that'd be hilarious.
That would be so. If he doesn't, that's a missed opportunity. Anytime anyone talks about No Way Home, he's just be like, "Oh yeah, I saw it. It was a good movie." He's like, "Oh, how was it being in it?" Like, I'm not in that. That's a Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Yeah,
that'd be so funny.
Be great.
No, we should probably wrap this up. This has been
yeah, it's been
mostly just us rambling.
It has been, but anyways, yeah. So that is our to give it an actual rating across the screen.
I don't know.
9.5 stars out of 10.
I'm not putting that on the screen. Don't make me do editing.
9.5 out of 10.
I think I don't know. I kind of hate rating movies like that, but if I had to give it something, it'd probably be a 9. It's a good movie overall, very good. I don't like I don't like how hard it is to see the final action set piece sometimes. I really wish it had been in the day and well lit. I know it's to hide CGI and whatever. Don't love it. And I think there's a lot of holes you could potentially poke in this. Like even when you were talking about like Doctor Strange stuff, that's potentially a hole you could poke into this story. Like why didn't, like, if he's as smart as he says he is, why didn't he ask Peter beforehand if he wanted anyone to remember? Like, I feel like that's a very good question to ask before you alter the entire universe. Maybe Doctor Strange, maybe.
Why would you alter the entire universe?
Oh my God, he's Mephisto. Oh, we totally skipped over the fact that MJ and Ned and the whole universe forget that Peter exists.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we did. Okay. I love that part, actually. I also love the fact that it's kind of like Peter's now living on his own in a crappy apartment, choosing to be the hero, you know?
They basically soft rebooted Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
You mean
like,
Tobey Maguire?
No, Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's basically a soft reboot. Like they can really go in any direction. Because like obviously the universe still remembers Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man still helped the Avengers and all that, but nobody knows who Peter is. Like he doesn't even exist on like a paper trail, like in the government system kind of. That's why he has to take a GED test. And like it's really cool. And like it was such another really good Spider-Man moment where he makes that very personal sacrifice to save the universe and the people he cares about. Like that was a very cool way to end it. And they could totally make Ned and MJ remember. The comic that this is loosely based on, I forget what it's called. It's bad. Don't read it. They cast a similar spell to save Aunt May. It's stupid. God, sorry, it's so stupid. But that spell in the comics, I'm pretty sure how it works is you forget, but then if you remember again, like if you learn again that Peter is Spider-Man, all of your previous memories of knowing him, he was Spider-Man, come back. So they could do that. If they, I think maybe don't do it immediately, give it some time for like the hurt to really be there, and then you could bring them back, but also you don't have to. So I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. I can't believe we almost missed like one of the biggest parts of the movie.
That was one of the biggest things, but you know, it's okay. It's okay.
Where does this
good movie? There's a lot.
Final wrap-up question. Where does this rank in Spider-Man movies for you?
Ooh, you know, you have to watch our next video. We're gonna do a Spider-Man tier list. Watch that, and then you will find out where it is. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our Spider-Man movie tier list. And thanks for watching. That was fun.
I hope you guys like this kind of stuff. Let us know if we should do more of this. It was definitely kind of just, honestly, this was just kind of us talking like we would about the movie. So, hey, if you like that, let us know. All right, and we will see you next time.